I was born in New York. I grew up in New York, and I love to talk about New York. And I really honestly believe I am as much a prototypical New Yorker as anybody you can imagine, because I've been living in New York my entire life, except for my time in the Army. I was in the Army twice, and I also went to Ohio State, went through college in 3 years, so I was 3 years in Ohio. So I guess you take a few years off. For those of you who don't know, since it's widely circulated, I was 90 yesterday. I was supposed to be running the marathon in 2 weeks, so that's not happening. I did it 2 years ago and was the oldest person that ever finished the marathon in New York. But I thought I could break the record again at 90, but it's not going to happen. Anyway, so I grew up in New York. I was just telling someone yesterday, my kids, when I grew up in New York, if you can imagine, New York Central Park was our playground. I lived on Central Park West, and I only tell you to get some idea what New York was like. If you went into Central Park, there was never anyone in there. Can you imagine? There was never anybody at Central Park. We used to go sleigh riding in Central Park when there was snow, and that's what the use was. Or we'd go bicycle riding occasionally. There were cars, the what's now the bikes are where cars were, and there were horses on the horse path. There were 2 or 3 stables around New York, and people used to go horseback riding. So it was used for horseback riding, used for bicycling, and it was used occasionally for running. The word running didn't even exist, though. I mean, I never saw a single person run, except to go catch somebody or
You only ran when you were in
catch
trouble.
a fly. So that's what New York was. When it snowed, New York, it really used to snow in the winter. I can remember my father. You could park on both sides of the street, and when it snowed heavily, your car was there for the entire winter. And because the plows would come along, and all they did was plow the center and throw the snow on the cars, so you could never get out. And if you wanted, you really had to dig it out. So anyhow, that's what New York was. I rode the subway to school, and so anyhow, that covers my early life in New York.